Hi, welcome to Awake TV. So today, Sue and I are going to talk about part 2, the value of watching TV, part 2, the resident alien. So Sue recommended me this TV show because it's funny. So I decided to watch, and I watched everything up till yesterday's season 2, episode 8. This show is a predictive programming, but not in the dark cult way. I think this program is created by white hats to regular people to inform what is really going on in fictional manner, so they're not going to freak out when everything comes out. And those of you who are Starship, I highly recommend to watch this. Even though all of us come from a higher dimension than Harry, we still think it's hilarious how he makes comment on humans. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a great writing. And then I watched vibrational frequency of the writer, the Chris Sheldon. I think that's his name is. Executive producer Chris Sheldon. He has pretty high vibration because depends on who is running the show. I wanted to make sure before that, before I watch anything. And then it's pretty accurate how all of many of those 4D galactic beings do consider humans, especially the one they think human is a piece of shit that need to be destroyed. The point of view is pretty accurate.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. I keep laughing because you gotta watch if you watch the show, Resident Alien. So the main character is an alien whose mission is to come. I'm not going to spoil too much. I'm just going to give you the highlight. He comes to Earth on a mission to destroy Earth, and he gets stuck here. And so he has to take on human form, right, to blend in while he's trying to get his stuff back together. And some of what Erica's talking about is some of his impressions of humans. It's hilarious. I just couldn't stop laughing. And because, in these times, we all need a good laugh. So that was what attracted me to the show. But I think the point of view that is offered is really quite interesting because, we see each other as, just we're part of the human race. And so we notice that we know what our foibles are. We know what our strengths are and things of that nature. We even know what emotions are. But this guy is just like coming from a whole different perspective. And that's why I think it's really worthwhile because, I think we are coming to the point where we're going to be having interaction with aliens. I hate that term, but galactic beings. And
and the galactic beings who have been residing here.
That have been here, yeah.
So they are not technically galactic being, they are Earth chi.
No, I was going to say they were here before us, but, potato. A lot of people aren't going to be ready to hear that yet. So I was kind of hesitating whether I was going to say it, but you said it for me. So thank you.
So they're going to freak out like, okay, people think like we're all made out of the same cloth, but
oh God, no. Yeah. One of the biggest points I think the show makes is that we really, 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 as a collective, humanity really needs to stop judging people by what they look like. It is so absurd. To use Janine's word, tarot by Janine, it is. It's absolutely absurd. And we judge ourselves too by our appearances because we've been so programmed to do that like that. But there was an agenda behind that programming, and it was to get people to not value themselves as the light beings that we are. And So, you know, the main character, his name is Harry. His commentary about certain things about that, it just really cracked me up.
It is funny.
It's a good
And
show.
you know, when I was a kid, I remember like I always thought it is weird, even though I didn't know I'm a starseed at that time. I was always thinking why people kind of look down on other people, like means other people who come from different, you know, race or culture. And I'm thinking they're the same human being as me. So why do they have to rank like which one is better than the other race or whatever that is, right? And then I really liked animals more than humans when I was a little because I was thinking animals don't lie, you know, because how they are behaving and what they are thinking is the same. But when you look at humans, they they act one way, but what they're feeling or what they are really thinking is completely opposite. So I wasn't really big fan of humans when I was like a little kid. I mean, I got along with everybody, but I'm thinking it was really weird. So after the awakening, I realized I'm a starseed as well, which was a huge surprise for me. But it kind of made sense that even though Harry makes comment on humans from 4D galactic perspective, and then he's coming here to sort of save Earth because he thinks humans are evil or humans
You mean
are
destroy
destroying
Earth?
Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so his species are not like, oh, destroy whole planet. It's not like that. He was like, okay, I want to save a beautiful planet, so kill some creatures who is destroying it. So it was interesting. The Chris was telling the actor who is playing Harry, you have to think Harry's point of view as when he looks at human, you're looking at not a butterfly, because when you're looking at a butterfly, you want to preserve it, it's beautiful. You're looking at the house moth.
Oh, yeah, that line. Yep.
So I'm thinking, wow, that kind of makes sense because I guess showrunner has to teach. And then the really interesting thing about this show is this is not same as the comic book version, because comic
All
book
right.
version is main character Harry is coming from high vibrational frequency planet, and then he lost or didn't take whatever their technology, so he's looking for it. That's why he has to stay. And then he likes all these mystery novels and he likes all this detective show. That's how he learns Earth culture. But he doesn't do any kind of shape shifting. He looks a little different, like a Dr. Spock, but not that different. So he kind of like
Blends in a little bit.
kind of blend in. And the thing is like he's from higher frequency society, so he doesn't involve any kind of killing activity at
Yeah,
all.
he wouldn't intervene. It's kind
Yeah,
of like you said Spock, so I'll just go with the Star Trek for a quick second. It's like their main prime directive is no intervention in a culture. So
yeah,
in other words, if they went to do something or to observe something, they had to stay hidden so they wouldn't change the culture, especially the primitive ones. They didn't want
yeah,
to upset their balance in life. So you're saying there's a big difference between the comic book
yeah.
purpose that Harry had versus the movie. And
There's
I
a
think,
big difference. So he has to find that technology because they know human gonna use for the evil purpose. That's why he's
oh,
doing the
right.
comic book version. But TV version is different. Harry coming is, I'm assuming, his planet is next to Draco constellation,
Hmm.
which is where draconians are kind of originally residing, but they come from other universe. But that's another story. So they're kind of neighbors. They don't like each other, but he's also from 4D, can be upper 4D. He's coming from that. And it's like he has this typical alien looking feature. And the whole story is he's alone. Well, no, he's not really alone as a galactic, but point is he's alone in a bunch of humans are out there, but whole like premise is different because he's here to destroy Earth, like not to destroy Earth, sorry, destroy humanity.
Humanity and preserve Earth.
Preserve
Yeah.
Earth. So
yeah.
The reason why I think they decided to make this TV show written by Chris is to educate humans, means regular people who has no idea there's some other original galactic with human. It's not their shape shifting. They mingle with humans, so they consider themselves blue blood. You know, they think they're elite because of the bloodlines. So they are kind of like talking about not exactly them, because Harry is not making some kind of club, but kind of like talking about similar thing, right? I mean, there is some people out there who is not exactly same as humans, even though humans do have, depends on which prototype and which civilization decided to create a certain prototype of humans, genetic structures are different. But after they mingled with each other, there are a lot of mixing going on. People are thinking like, oh yeah, you know, all different races, they never mixed. No, they did. Before they have certain different races. But
Yeah, so you're kind of talking about a long time ago,
yeah,
like
long
pre-Atlantean and all that kind of stuff.
Like after between Lemurians and Atlanteans, like Egyptian.
And their experiments and
yeah, all this
their augmentations, yeah.
But all this time, all these prototypes are mixed with each other because original ones are more like a Pleiadian looking because they used a lot of Pleiadian physical features to create humans.
I just think we're going to lose a lot of people if we get too deep into that.
Yeah.
You know, let's go back to the show.
Whole point is like, so when people think we are just a human being, and then I'm talking about regular people, and then they don't think like, oh, you know, I don't know anything about aliens, I don't really have any blood or genetic code in me. They do. Genetically, all humans are mixture of different galactic things. But in this theme, Harry is coming from a different planet, and then Harry's, I guess, culture do not share any kind of empathy, which is
they don't have emotions. They don't deal with emotions. They birth their children and they just let them go. The mother dies and they go to the Iceland tundra or whatever he called it. So, you know, you're talking about a very vastly different culture, one that operates on intelligence and technology and common sense versus us who, yes, we have intelligence and common sense, but we also have emotion, and we run more on emotion than we run on all that other stuff. So like it's a big awakening for him when he comes here and he has to experience like humans and their emotions. And then he starts feeling them and it's like, whoa, you know, he starts realizing he has emotion too. And I think that's just such a cool way of giving people an idea of what it might be like when we start having conscious contact with galactic beings, because truly there are, and I've found this through sessions working with people, and when they go into a galactic lifetime, I've had two different people realize that they had to have like practice lives to learn emotion because they came from such a higher vibrational thing where, emotion really wasn't a thing. They had to go to other planetary systems and live hundreds of years with emotions in order to come to Earth, just to be able to deal with the density and all of our stinking emotions. I just think it's a cool.
Yeah, I want to specify with that so nobody gonna get confused. You are talking about the higher galactic beings. We do have emotions, but we have a limited amount of emotions.
No, I'm talking about there are civilizations that we don't even have. I'm not talking about where you come from. I'm talking about.
No, I'm talking about all higher.
I've had clients who have come from places where they didn't have emotion. It was all mental. It was all intelligence. It was just like the beingness, being in 0 point.
They're still what, higher frequency, like
Yep.
higher dimensional. I'm not aware of those people.
They had to drop down to well, the one lady, she and I had a Lemurian life together, the Earth Lemuria, not the other, but anyway, we were incarnated together and we were both healers. And she came from, when I asked the question during session, what is your planet of origin that you're descending from to come to Earth? And she said it's not a name that you would even be able to, understand in your, like your brain wouldn't be able to know what we were even talking about. It's not even this galaxy.
Which dimension is it? Like name isn't important, but which dimension is it?
Now we didn't get there on dimension, but it was
it's kind of important to get to the dimension because depends on the dimensionality, like the structure is different.
But is it really? So yeah, the point I'm trying to make is they didn't have emotion and they were just very, very intelligent beings, and they ran on common sense, I guess is what we would call it. And she had to drop to another planetary system and spent 400 years there just to learn basic emotions and compassion, and then she could come to Earth, because it was too much of a transition to go from where she came from to Earth. There had to be like a middle ground. And so, the only reason I bring it up is because I think Harry does, his character in Resident Alien does a really good job of showing what that's like to be a being that really isn't emotional, and then now being amongst all these other beings that are very emotional, and how they tend to lack common sense sometimes in light of their emotion. Instead of their emotion, they do things that are not logical. So I really love that about the show, how he kind of, and then as he moves into human, like becoming more human, or picking up on some of our traits, what that's like for him. He struggles. It's not easy.
Yeah.
He struggles. And I like that they show that, because, people have a hard time getting used to him. Right. Not people are like, this guy is so weird. Everybody talks about how strange he is. Well, he's just odd. They put it off. The ones that know about the fact that he's an alien, make up excuses for him, but it's kind of great how it shows how both sides are just so baffled in a way by one another, but yet both sides are willing to learn about the other. And I mean, that's the key point, isn't it?
It is. So from my point of view, like, I'm gonna put it in a really, really simple manner. So when you are at 4D, a lot of beings are mind oriented and they don't have emotions, means they are not empathic like humans. They are not like psychopath like a Dexter, but kind of similar, they only think about themselves, their family, their people. That's about it. So by listening to what Harry was talking about on the TV show, I was assuming he comes from 4D because he has that characteristic. And then humans, we are asked to master our emotions. Like humans do have so much emotions, it's like overwhelming. And then it's like huge different color of emotions, and then you're asked to master from low density emotion to high density emotions, which is extremely difficult task to do, because a lot of times, including me, but the people I was seeing in galactic sessions, when people are in the higher frequency societies, they do have emotions, but don't have huge variety of emotions like humans. Like, don't experience any fear, don't experience any anger, don't experience any hate, any kind of like low frequency emotions. You are not aware of those kind of emotions because you never ever experience that, because from 5D and up, you are, it's not a Christ consciousness is emotion, but when you're connected with Christ consciousness, you're vibrating from that and up. So it's kind of difficult to even go near those consciousness or near those emotions. So even people who are from higher frequency, they do have to slowly descend from higher dimensions to lower one by one, and then go through circling around the different cultures slowly, and then go to 4D. Then you still hold on your original consciousness as who you are. So you are not really mentally fucked up because you know who you are while you are experiencing those 4D cultures like Harry is doing on Earth. And then you get used to it. Before you come to Earth, you need to go through that experience. So you're not gonna get your soul, in a way, your soul not gonna get a huge damage by from coming from 7D to 3D Earth. That's too much. So 4D is a last stop. People think like Pleiades is the last stop before you come to Earth. Pleiades is the last stop before you go to 4D. So usually people not gonna go into amazing galactic civilization of 4D. They exist, they're mind oriented, but not like what we think of reptilians or all this, Harry's planet, not like that. They do exist, but we don't go through that one. We go through more lizard kind of like war, kind of military kind of civilizations to prepare to be here. So you can experience the lower, more like survival, fight and flight survival kind of, not even emotions. It's almost like culture, like completely different. So you can prepare to come here. So that is my understanding of it. But the reason why I think that Resident Alien is brilliant, because people can judge. When people find out there are people who are not shape shifting, but they mingled with other people, because I don't really think, except non-physical Draco or something, or some of them underneath of inner Earth, the regular people who are outside of Earth having a human form, they are not shape shifting. They do have those like reptilian origin or something like that, but their blood is like not 100% of that origin, because they eventually, having sex with another human. That's why they mate with each other. They look for their bloodlines. So they can't really go outside of their bloodline. Their bloodline has to be somewhat out there, right? So your partner has to be 17th cousin or 18th cousin. At least you do share the bloodline. So for them, bloodline.
Are you talking about the cabal now? You lost me. You got into bloodlines and I'm really confused.
The bloodline is important because all these people who they consider as elite is coming from those galactic descendants.
Okay, so you're talking about the cabal. I gotcha.
Yeah, but it's not about naming. Like, it doesn't matter which galactic origin they come from. They think it's
Well, I mean, I'm kind of skippy on these things and you lost me, so I wasn't sure. I just wanted to make sure what we were talking about.
Yeah, so the bloodline is important for them. And then, you know, when people started to find out people are not just, you know, you and me, like Starseed, we got nothing to do with bloodline. You know, our soul origins from galactic thing, but we bloodline wise, we are like, you know, regular bloodline. But I'm talking about regular people who are not Starseed, who watch TV. I mean, nothing wrong with watch TV, but I'm using that analogy. Watch news and they think like, well, there's like certain way, and then people are gonna eventually freak out, like, oh, we are not just here on Earth. So to me, Resident Alien is preparing those people the reveal, because they probably don't know about Cabal either. They don't know about those bloodlines, or they don't know about their whole different kind of a human being. I'm not just talking about reptilian descent people. I'm talking about all other people who might having different alien bloodline lineage we are not aware of. I hear like there are several of them out there. It's not like they're shape shifting like Harry is doing, because you can only tell through the bloodline, I guess, and they can tell somehow, right? But from outside, by looking at the person, we don't know that. Cabal, these are what, 14 bloodlines, but other ones, we don't have that much information. So I'm thinking they're making this show to familiarize other human beings who are not common people. So once people find out, they're gonna be prepared, and they're gonna be okay with little bit different people. Just because you happen to come from different bloodline, people not gonna immediately looking down on those people, as long as these people are, you know, they repented their way of living, or they decided to follow what the right things to do instead of the family traditions or the club they own, they may belong to, and they decided to turn on their back because they think that that's not the right things to do because they are awakened or whatever the reason. So when that happens, people are not going to judge them or prosecute them, but they're gonna find like compassion and Christ consciousness because they watched the TV show. You know, like people are liking Harry, like they think, oh, I like him. Is he likable? Not as much as Dexter, but he's funny, right? So I feel like those people are white hat and they're trying to make people to get used to the real facts. You know, it's not a one kind of human being out there. Means like earth bleed people who come from original creation, and then they may have, we all have a galactic DNAs within us, but they're not talking about that. They're talking about people who, other galactic people who decided to invade here and then decided to reside as a ruler or god or whatever they call themselves, and then they exist here, outer earth and then inner earth too. And then when people find out, you know, it's almost like Simpsons, like they do predictive programming or something. So to me, like they make the show because I was reading about comic book, and then I I read the whole plot line of the TV show, and they're different. They are completely different. And then latest episode, Harry finds out there are other people out there, not his kind. So I was like, wow, you know, like I was like, my guess about why they wrote this program is to educating people, because I guess White Hat by now realized how powerful TV is. You can use television or programming or anything for good purpose too, to prepare people for what's coming. Yeah, so I like the show that way. And then Starseed, you guys can enjoy, even though Harry is not quite a higher frequency being, but you can still enjoy watching him, because from 4D, these people don't have any empathy. So they are not having Christ consciousness. So how do they learn to have empathy? By, I guess, getting human body and living human experience. So Harry, to me, like Harry is going through Christ consciousness or 5D by going through humans, understanding humans, and then being one of humans by experiencing emotions. So he's going through the emotion and everything opposite from higher frequency beings like us. You know, it's hard to master all this fear and all this kind of like lower emotional things to go back to higher frequency, but he's doing completely opposite. He's learning how to love other completely different species than him. His capacity is still small, because he can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not sure he is, because he's fallen in love with one.
That's
he doesn't give a shit what happens to the rest of them.
Well,
he's only changed his mission because he fell in love with one.
Well,
I don't want to give too much of the plot away, but
he will evolve. It's a huge.
Well, and I think they're showing that. The other thing I think is good about this show is pretty much everything that's flooded into human production as far as movies and TV is always aliens are coming here to control us, or aliens are coming here to destroy us. So I haven't read the comic book, but I think that I would like it better, because in the show, Harry's mission is to destroy Earth, whereas in the comic book it wasn't. But I think Hollywood doesn't exist anymore, but I think anybody moving forward with a movie production company needs to start putting out some stuff where aliens aren't coming here to destroy us or control us or manipulate us. I mean, let's face facts. With the kind of technology that they have to be in their whatever ships they have, whatever technology they have, it's way far and above anything we have on this planet. And if their intention was to come and destroy us, it would have happened by now, So the fact that we have shows coming out where or this show in particular, I mean, I like the comic book version better, but
Did you read a comic book?
No, just ran into this show. I don't have time to read, honestly. I got 3 books on my shelf that I really want to get to, and I just haven't. But the point I'm trying to make is Hollywood's really done a number on humanity with regard to relationships, or any possible relationship with ETs. It's every show, whether it's a joke like Mars Attacks is kind of a comedy, or like the Will Smith, I forget what that one was called, but We Were Being Attacked, Independence Day. Any of those shows, it always shows us having to fight them, having to overcome them. They're trying to destroy us completely, or they're trying to take us over. The fact of the matter is we need some good information out there for people, to start considering and opening their minds and saying, these beings have been here way before humanity as we know it, and they actually brought some of the technology that built the things that we don't even know we couldn't even replicate, because they've then taken their technology back because we're self-destructive. And humanity has to kind of understand, once we get to a point where we stop trying to kill each other and who's got the biggest nuke, maybe they'll come back. Maybe, like you said, we get to this Christ consciousness and we stop warring with each other, and we start figuring out that we have way more in common than our differences,
Well,
in appearance as being one. But I mean, that's the least of our differences. We have so many, I mean, our commonalities are so much more than our differences.
you're talking about
Humans and galactic beings. I mean, let's face it, it's just kind of like we talked about in that one episode, what human beings have in common, no matter what our race, religion, all that is, we all want to have a happy life. Most of us want to have families, or we come from a family that we care about, and we're social beings. I don't think the galactics are that different. They want to have a peaceful existence. They want to have prosperity. They want to have, whatever they need for survival without having to suffer for it. So, I mean, humanity and galactic beings are not that different. We may look completely different in some cases, but that doesn't mean we need to be afraid of them.
Well, it has to do with the dimensional frequencies. So it depends on which frequency they are coming from. It's not how they look. It's about,
well, I mean, the planet is
frequency.
protected. We don't have to worry about the nefarious ones because our planet's protected by the good ones. But my point being, like, when they come here, when they finally get to the point where they trust us enough to come here openly, and interact with us, we really have to up our game before they're going to do that,
Well, they're not
because we're
really
just way
coming
too
until
judgmental.
they're not really coming until they're gonna reach a certain frequency level.
That's what I'm saying. The point being, I think, with the show is that, Harry's race is judgmental of Earth, and they just want to get rid of us. And then, Earth people are judgmental of each other as well as Harry once they figure out what he is, who he is. But they judged him before they found out he was an alien. We have to really up our game and consciousness before higher level beings are going to come here and interact with us consciously. We have to up our game. We have to stop the bullshit of, judging each other based on what we look like and what our religion is and who's got more money and all this other crap. It's low level density bullshit. We need to cut it out. So, I think there's some of that message there in Resident Alien. It's kind of like, just kind of showing people how stupid we can be. And Harry's a little stupid too.
Harry is ignorant, but like he makes a comment like in episode 1, like humans are just below lizard, which is pretty accurate comment, because that's not being judgmental. Because if human beings are, smarter than reptilians, none of the current situation is happening, and none of these domination situation is happening, really. So some of us,
I don't know. Some of the lizards wanted to control. So I mean, I can't say we can blanket statement it, but yeah, I guess my biggest point is just that it's an eye-opening. It's funny, which is what drew me in, and we all need a good laugh. But I think there's messages interwoven in the comedy that get, if you're paying attention even just a little bit, make you go, oh, that's interesting. And I think we need more of that. We need more shows that encourage people to think a little bit differently than maybe they have their whole lives. And it has to start slowly, but at the same time, are we really paying attention to what we're watching? Like the messages behind the storyline. And I hope people do. I hope people start thinking, a little bit differently. This isn't just entertainment. Maybe there's a story here that's, it's got a deeper meaning. What is the deeper meaning? And then we can have talks about it. People have talks about it. They do movie reviews and you know, you listen on in some of the social media forums, people talk about it, right?
Yeah, it is funny. And then plus, it is really important people to, I mean, this show, what I like about is they don't put any kind of wokeness, they don't put any kind of political correctness, nothing. It's just that all good old TV show. So anything is double-edged sword, even TV show. Like people think, oh, don't watch TV, don't watch any kind of TV show because it's all come from cabal. TV also can use for the good purpose to, get people used to what kind of people are, roaming here as a human being. It's not just one kind, could be several kind. So after they watch TV show and they had the good fun, and then when they find out, wow, we are not just one kind of people, they'll freak out less because they're informed before.
Mm.
And then they may have a sympathy toward the people. There's a couple people or several people, they decided to. I heard a lot of white hats used to come from blood family, some of them. So they know the tactic, they know how to use those kind of tricks because they come from there, but they go 180. So it's not about where you come from,
Oh, you mean like using entertainment to get the message out, or to tell truth
It's
sort of in a way that looks like fiction?
Well, it's not just entertainment, it's about anything. Like once you know what's going on the other side from everything, then you know how to use it in different way, right? Even you are in military or whatever that is, right? So entertainment too, but whole point is like when people decided to follow their light, they decided to follow the heart, they decided to follow their Christ consciousness, or they started having awakening. And if they come from a particular family or particular galactic bloodline or something, people may judge because where they come from, right? And then because I can so see people want to do that, because if people hate on each other because of the race or because of skin color, I can't really like have positive about the people can look through like people coming from that kind of background, right? So in order for people to having some kind of emotional preparation and some kind of compassion, because they watch the TV program, so they can kind of have imagination, okay, these people are not evil. They kind of started to understanding and assimilating into our side. So, people are not going to hate other people who wants to proceed together to ascension.
I don't know if one show can do all of that, but I think it's a start. I think it's opening the door.
Yeah, I mean,
a crack. It's a very, very light introduction to, okay, let's look at the other side from another perspective. And really, I mean, all conflict resolution amongst humans has to do with that. It has to do with, okay, let's put ourselves in someone else's shoes for just a minute, try and imagine what the experience is like for them or where they're coming from. And then we can have compassion because we've now taken a moment to try and imagine things from another person's perspective. So, I mean, I think it's like an opening a door. It's certainly not going to do all of that with one show, but I think it's a good start.
Yeah, it's a good start, and then it's a big step because we didn't have this kind of format before,
Exactly.
And then
Yep.
I think this is a preparation to our transition.
Yeah, I have to agree. And there's a lot of people that, I mean, just when even the tip of the iceberg of some of this stuff, these truths that are going to be coming out start happening, they're really going to fight against it. There's going to be a lot of defensiveness and a lot of denial, if you ask me. So it's kind of up to the rest of us to sort of help them along. And, you know, I think the best way we can help other people along is by showing our best selves, like modeling good behavior. And so it's kind of like with the masks. I'm going to make a weird comparison here, but it just popped into my head. You know, in New York, when I was in New York, and they stopped requiring mask wearing in the stores, the grocery stores and whatnot. I mean, I was one of the first people to walk through the door without a mask on because I just was so happy that baloney was taken care of. And, you know, people were looking at me. You know, I know it's just so many people look at you, and then other people that didn't have masks on, people with the masks were looking at them like, really? It really? Is it okay? Really? It's okay? Oh, well, look, all these people are not wearing masks. So it's like when people start realizing some of these truths about galactics and our history with them, and the ones that are still on Earth now and have been all along, and the new ones, not new, but the ones that are coming in to now consciously interact with us, people are going to look to other people as to how to respond. And if enough of us keep our cool, and enough of us embody the Christ consciousness and show that to others, we model good behavior, then I think that's going to help.
It will help. And TV show
we
like
need to
that,
do it.
TV show like that, it's like prepare the mass, not audience, but mass majority of the people. You know, that's including people who watch TV and wear a mask and watch CNN, those kind of people. They watch the TV show. I'm not looking down on people who watch TV show, but typical people who watch a lot of TV shows are, you know, not really awakened a lot of time. So they watch this show and they get influenced by it, because before they experience, all this information gets into their subconscious mind. So somehow by watching TV show and going through what Harry is going through, it's impossible not to get the compassion toward people who are here but different. You know,
not impossible, but it's a step in the right direction. It's opening the door, and I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they can kind of start not immediately like going toward like hating mode, you know, especially those people who are repented, right? Because you can't judge everybody. Let's say, you know, the reason why people make all these shows or movies, all these galactics coming here to kill us or something like that, because they
wanted us to be afraid of them. They wanted us to be afraid. They didn't want us to consciously connect with galactics, and they knew there were a lot of people in society that were doing that psychically. They were doing it through meditation. They were doing it through their intuition and their psychic abilities, and they were doing it through hypnosis, and they didn't want that. So they made a lot of scary shows to keep us, you know, try to discourage people from making that kind of contact, because what would happen? Consciousness would increase. That was the whole motivation. It's just like with you know, putting chemicals in food or the air or anything else. The whole purpose is trying to get us to find a way to block our ability to connect with source. Well, that didn't work. They didn't know that wasn't going to work, but it didn't work. I might have work for a little while, but it's not a long-term thing. You know, even if you were affected by something like something in your food or fluoride or the jab or whatever else, it's not a permanent thing. You can overcome it. And they didn't count on that either, did they? But I mean, that's the whole point behind Hollywood's scare tactics on, making every single movie about aliens being like, oh, we have to be on the defensive and we have to fight them and they're terrible and they always have a bad, dark agenda. They didn't want us to make contact because the higher level beings, they're going to help us. They're not going to try to control us. They're going to give us the technology that we need. They're going to help us with the medicine, not medicine, but like med beds and all of that. They didn't want us having contact. So they thought, well, if we scare everybody, that'll keep their noses out of it. They'll stop trying and they'll just stay away from aliens because aliens are scary. And it's a whole agenda.
Yeah, that too. And the plus, like, I don't know, some Stashi that you guys are closet about telling who you are to people around you, but watching show like a Resident Alien, yeah, he come from a lower dimension, but the whole point is when people become open-minded to accept the different origin of people or origin of consciousness, then it's going to be a lot easier to live here. You do share human body, that's a commonality, but you can be who you are. And then people will be ready to accept. They will, because the higher frequency beings not going to come until people reach 5D. Doesn't mean society going to be a paradise all of a sudden. Looks the same, just like right now, but consciousness will evolve to 5D. So people will be more accepting toward the differences, more accepting toward the different anything. So I kind of thought that this is really funny watching Legend and Alien and hearing Harry's comment, because his point of view tend to be cynical and kind of negative and a kind of black humor. But in that dimension, I can understand why he's saying, but there is a truth to it. I mean, there are half of us in United States, we can tell all bullshit is going on and all this situation, everything. Like, what's happening in Russia, Ukraine, or what's happening in this stupid mandate. But half of the people don't know. So Harry's making comment like humans are below lizard. I can't deny that, because if everybody is so smart, they're not going to fall on the trick of what's going on right now. So
well, it's I don't know. I tend to think it's not an intelligence thing; it's a program thing.
it is a
if you're told something and taught something ever since you're born, it's kind of difficult not to believe in it, especially if your parents did and your grandparents did, and then the society around you buys into it. I mean, we've been wholesale fucking lied to our whole lives for hundreds and hundreds of years. So I don't think that's an intelligence thing. I think it's a programming thing. How deeply programmed somebody is, that's a whole nother I mean, obviously the star seats are going to see it way sooner than the average bear, but are any of us average? I mean, we're all from source. So his judgmentalness is, it's just so funny to me. Harry's judgmentalness of humans, and they're judging him just as much. Yeah. So that's kind of the funny part. It's just like, as you start getting into season 2, you start seeing people and Harry, the alien, being less judgmental of each other, because they're starting to realize, oh, I'm starting to get to know this person or this alien, and I'm having a conversation with this alien, which means now I'm starting to understand his point of view, or why he's so weird, or why they do things the way they do, or why they don't do things the way we do. And yeah, so I really tend to think it's much less of a intelligence thing rather than a programming thing. I mean, that's my opinion. Some people, I mean, people have been arguing about that for a long time, and people with big, papered up to the wazoo in studies and 500 PhDs and all that, and they still argue about this. Is it nature or is it nurture? Well, what it is, I think, is consciousness. And, you know, that show helps raise consciousness. I really think it does.
It does. And he comes from mind-oriented society, so he is not aware of the frequency of the consciousness. So he probably is not aware of Christ consciousness or all that kind of thing. So he's dealing with 40 other galactic beings. So whatever he's familiar with, it's a mind-oriented society with technology, right? So he's measuring stick of, I guess, mark ranking, because he comes from a ranking culture. And then culture.
Oh, ranking, yeah.
Yeah, culture where rank people is fourth dimensional societies, galactic places. So that's including Draco, that's including reptilians, that's including Grace, but it's not about the looks. If those Draco or those reptilians are coming from 7D, some of them exist in 7D, so, but they may not have same kind of physical feature. So
it's like the Palladians.
yeah,
I mean, the Palladians go from the whole gamut, you know, you got your, I don't think there's any that are too much lower than 4, but they go to 12 and up. So, you know, at some point you don't have a physical body anymore. But you know, they have group consciousness just like, you know, we do.
yeah. So it's not about looks, it's about which dimension you come from. So how much consciousness you are closer to crime creator. So it begins from Christ consciousness, 5D and up. But
Yep.
Harry, presumably, by observing him, he doesn't have that. Now
No.
he's acquiring emotions. So he's learning how to have empathy.
Yeah, and he's doing it pretty quickly too, if I might add. I mean, he hasn't even been there a whole year and he's really come a long way. I mean, let's face it, Harry was probably programmed by his people to dislike or disrespect humans. He grew up with that.
Well,
or his whole society, that's what their way of being was. So he gets sent on a mission to destroy it, because without even understanding it, then he gets stuck here and now he understands it. He doesn't want to destroy it so much. He wants to stay longer.
Point is, he probably come from this society of ranking people. So when he makes a comment about each other galactic, you know, friends, or they're not friends, acquaintance or whatever, he ranks, you know. And then any comment he makes people who are not coming from his planet, you know, he jackass or jerk, or he doesn't make any nice comment. Of course, his neighbors are not, you know, Lipterians or Greys or Draco. He made a comment of those people. He didn't have anything nice to say.
Well, the long story short is he can be super, super smart, but that doesn't mean he's from a higher consciousness.
Yeah, so his level of like measuring stick is not that wide. He can tell by, I guess, intelligence level, because he only uses mind. He doesn't have access to heart. So how he gonna measure, right? That's his way of ranking people or ranking beings. But it was kind of funny when he's making the comment about Actuarians. I had to listen to that a couple of times to catch the lines.
They're cheap.
Yeah, they're saying Actuarians, they're jerk, they're cheap. And then I'm thinking, how can that be possible? Because Actuarians in 4D, they look the same. So only difference is a vibrational level. But I don't really think they are mind-oriented society even in 4D level. I don't think they had the currency either. So it's not.
Yeah, that was kind of one of those things where it's just like that. I heard it, I registered it, and I went, I don't know what that means.
But I thought that was really funny, because like, I'm like, okay, they made a pretty good comment on each beings according to Harry's point of view. because he thinks his planet is the best of the best.
Of course, don't we all, right?
he thinks like all this reptilian Draco is piece of shit or something, according to him. So,
But I mean, who does that sound like, Erica? That's humanity. Everybody thinks this is the best planet ever, and nobody could ever be as good as Earth. Again, it's a consciousness thing. And, as we move closer and closer to the Christ consciousness, we start to have an affinity for all creation.
Yeah, and
animals, plants, planets, aliens.
It is. So this is why I love
the nature.
This is why I love the show, because Harry is slowly learning to love others, which is very hard. It's a very huge step in his species or his culture, because what I observed that those lower consciousness 4D beings, they only love for themselves, their family, or people from their planet. That's about it. Hugest they can go is people from their planet, because they belong to same, I guess, species. But anything outside, piece of shit. So from that kind of consciousness to love others, even one person, it's a huge step for them.
Yeah, big learning curve for him, but he's doing it pretty quickly. Some people go their whole lives and never get that idea.
Yeah, and it's really funny. And then I really like the concept. They decided to tackle this show as comedy. I did watch like all other sci-fi kind of show before when I was watching TV. Now I started to watch again. But whole point is, like previous TV shows about all this stuff is pretty like not comedy. It's not funny. It's pretty serious. This one is realistic enough. They write each character really well, and it's funny. So it's enjoyable. And then I love that show because it's enjoyable. And it's not a propaganda. I don't really see that. Only thing I can see is, okay, they're preparing people for what's coming.
Yeah. And I think just, as kind of a final for me, I'll say this. I think that moving forward, we're going to start seeing a lot better quality. We probably already said this before, but I think it bears repeating. As long as we use our intuition and our gut feeling about whether something is a vibration we want to engage in, I think we're going to start seeing a whole lot better programming moving forward. People that have great messages and great ideas for stories are going to be able to find production companies that do have the light, the Christ consciousness, and the best intention. We're going to get back to programming where people, get a good feeling when they're done with it. They don't get this sick feeling in their stomach, and the adrenaline buzz movies, I think, are going to go by the wayside. I think we're going to start moving more to not wholesome, because it sounds like Little House on the Prairie, but I mean messages that are worthwhile, that really are going to touch people and help them in their journey towards bringing the Christ consciousness within themselves.
It will happen like that, yeah.
And let's face it, programming, I mean, one of the reasons why the spiritual community has bashed programming, watching TV really of any kind, is because either you're watching the news or some stupid reality show, which has no value towards your ascension process, or you're watching something that actually brings your vibration down, fear, or revenge, war, dysfunctional families, you name it. I mean, the list is long, but I mean, that's what it's been for so long. I think it's really going to change. And this is a really good first step.
Yeah, or teaching how to think, like all those late wokeness show like Sex and City, or new Gossip Girl, or other shit shows. But whole point is like, all these people who think like everybody from Hollywood is evil, that's wrong. Because I used to think like everybody from political world is 100% evil, but I guess 5% of them do care about people. So there's a small amount of people, they are really caring about their craft. They are really passionate about making amazing stories or amazing movies, or amazing TV show, and they really love to entertain audience. People do exist. It's just I want to talk about this a little bit because it's important. Before Hollywood is taken by Wall Street, the last decade when people had those movie moguls, those people are really passionate about the building stories. Those people are really passionate about entertaining people. And some people say I only watch good old movies because old movies they had more like good content and stuff like that.
More meat and potatoes, yeah.
Yeah, because all at that time they're the in Hollywood those people existed like people in high top position. It's not all about making money. Making money was important, but entertaining people are very important to them. So this is why they made really good movies. And they maybe had the programming here and there during the wartime and the stuff, especially. But outside of that,
I don't think it was intentional, though. I think it was just something that, it was a sign of the times. And so certain things were included, like, women not being strong. Well, if there's a conflict, it has to turn into a war. I think that's kind of I know what you're saying. The intention was different back then.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's why people are attracted to the older movies because
yeah,
it
back
was
then,
more just for entertainment rather than trying to brainwash people.
yeah, back then because people using they might use those stuff here and there, but whole point is it's not 100% everything is a propaganda or 100% everything is a programming. There's
Right.
couple of chunk of a good amount of whatever TV shows or movies you could entertain. Like
Yeah.
the whole point is you watch it and you feel good, and then you're out of the movie theater or finish watching TV show like uplifted. And then
Yeah.
back then people are really like all these pop movie mogul. Those people are into making that kind of stuff because they're passionate about that. Now it's all about what's the numbers, how much
Yeah, the money
making.
and
So
the fear factor in the programming. Well,
yeah,
I'll tell you, I think, there's a lot of examples, but I mean, if we wanted to, if I could just go from my own experience, I mean, when I was a kid, I loved the show Little House on the Prairie. I mean, I know that sounds so old and so boring, but really, it was interesting the way the characters were developed. And then, of course, Star Trek. Um, I started watching when Captain Kirk was played by William Shatner. And yes, he does overact, and it's funny. There was some comedy in there too, but talk about elevated society. Um, I think Gene Roddenberry channeled a lot of that content, by the way, which is what he says. Um, but as a kid, I mean, you talk about the lessons in the show, teamwork, everybody, the community only works if everybody works together, respect, everybody having their own skills. So, yeah, Spock was the smartest. However, there were people that were socially smarter than Spock. So those were helpful. And how when they worked together, boy, they were a force that couldn't be um, taken down. They always got through whatever challenge they had. These were things that I didn't consciously know as a child why I was attracted to them, but I think, light attracts light. And so, uh, I mean, as a kid, I was very ignorant of how dark the world could be. And so those shows just sort of appealed to me. But, even things like Sesame Street or, oh gosh, I'm really dating myself now. Something funny, simple, childlike, the Flintstones. What did the Flintstones teach us? They showed us very big examples of what, what do you call it? A masochist, right? No, not a masochist, misogynist, because Fred Flintstone was a huge misogynist. Barney was smarter. He knew better than to ever disrespect Betty. But, Wilma had to hit Fred over the head a few times with a big bone when he was being silly. So anyway, I guess the point I'm trying to make is I agree with you. I think a lot of older programming had better intentions, and I think we can look forward to a lot more of that moving forward.
Going back to that direction now, because I'm pretty sure right now, according to my channeling information, 30% of the people are good side. It's huge improvement from only 10%. So
oh, you mean in Hollywood?
yeah. So it's gonna increase more, eventually.
Well, so many of them are in Gitmo.
Yeah, and then eventually, like 100% are people who are creative. So they want to make all sort of different shows, right? So we can entertain until no longer need to watch TV or movies, which is coming,
Yeah.
Until then, people need to watch something. So
yeah, I mean, once the financial system shifts over and people can really stop working to survive and just work or put their creativity and their talent to what they're interested in and what they enjoy, it'll fall off. People will be less and less. No, I didn't say right away. I said eventually. As people have the financial freedom to go ahead and pursue what interests them and what really excites them, they'll be less and less interested in watching TV or movies. But it doesn't mean once in a while you don't want to just watch something good when you have some downtime. I mean, we don't have to be productive all the time. Sometimes it's nice to just be. And, that's kind of one of the points of us doing these shows about the positive aspects of TV is, people, we don't have to be doing all the time. Sometimes we can just be. And if part of your beingness is enjoying some good entertainment, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't know if it'll disappear completely. A couple hundred years from now, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but in the meantime, I think the programming's going in the right direction. This is a cool show if you want to start having a new perspective about our galactic brothers and sisters, and finally, just allow yourself to have some entertainment. For God's sake, you don't have to be doing all the time. I can't meditate 24/7. I just can't. It's not possible.
And
so, the spiritual community needs to chill out a little bit on people that do like to watch TV or watch a movie, because I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
No, and then plus, some people say original Gossip Girl is toxic. TV show is not teach about ethics, but TV show is make you go through the life experience of a character, so you can go through the life without dying. So that's what good TV show do. So even though you're gonna go through toxic relationship of original Gossip Girl, Blair and Selena, it's a life experience you learn, right? So while we are entertaining, watching them. So, I don't really think all TV show has to be like a Christian movie or Christian TV.
Yeah, no.
It can be all kind of shows so people can enjoy. I love Prison Break, So as long as they don't have propaganda or agenda pushing into the TV show to program you in a bad way, I think anything can go.
Yeah, and I mean, like last week we talked about Dexter and then we forgot to record the show, so we're doing it this week. But truthfully, Dexter is about as far away from Christian as you can get, but I love the messages. I mean, there's some really good stuff there. I mean, if you want to dig into something that helps you understand all different facets of the human psyche and why people do the things they do and different personalities and how they respond to things. I mean, that's a great show. Way not religious in any way. It's not pure. It's not anything, but it is kind of pure because it's like, it's life. And like you said, you don't have to be you can watch it and kind of get some insights as to what elements create a serial killer and what maybe their thought process is without actually having to be a serial killer.
Yeah,
So
go through the life. So more you go through the life of different kind of people, then your capacity to accept others will expand.
At the very least, understand.
Yeah,
Not so condemning of, because truly, I mean, that's what an old Native American saying, you have to walk a mile, and I don't know, maybe somebody just changed that. You have to walk a mile in somebody's shoes. And then you might start to understand them. We shouldn't be judging anyway.
Yeah, and then one thing I love about Resident Alien is they have a diversity of character without making all this shit about, oh, we have a diversity. That is not the selling point. That is not the selling point. And that is not how good show is all about. Like Resident Aliens, they put all sort of different kind of people as regular people.
Without the virtue signaling, yes. Did you ever see that South Park episode where they call one of the characters Token because he's black?
Yeah, I remember about that. And
oh my God.
He's one of the superhero characters.
Yeah.
And then
but they call him Token. I almost fell out of my chair when I saw that episode.
Wow, that's a good show. And then they push the envelope. So
yeah, they do.
Seriously, like people need to chill out. Some people might not like South Park because they have a huge amount of black humor, but I love black humor. I love British humor.
Me too.
American joke, I still don't understand that much about. I can't tell the between lying and a joke, okay? But
or if they're being sarcastic, right? Is it extreme sarcasm? What's going on here?
Yeah, black humor, I get it. I think it's hilarious. So,
well, you know what I think South Park does? I don't, you can call it black humor, but I think they take all of Hollywood's tricks and use it against them. It's like they reverse it on them and they put it back at them, and then they call people out, and it's hilarious.
Celebrity episode. It was so funny.
Have you ever seen the Paris Hilton one?
Very realistic.
Well, not really. I got to tell you this. So I thought the Paris Hilton episode of South Park was hilarious because it's just so, all the cliches about her. And then not long after I saw that, I ended up watching, I think she made the movie about herself, Paris Hilton, I forget what it's called, but she made a movie about herself. And it was kind of like her life. And I think she was born into the cabal, although she didn't say that. And but she was taken away as a teen who wouldn't do exactly what her parents wanted her to, and put into one of those kind of like a military. No, it was more like a camp, like a military type camp, but it sounded like brainwashing. She didn't come out and say everything that happened to her, but she said enough to where I read between the lines and I got the impression I think she was programmed. Okay. And whether that's true or not, I don't know. And I'm not going to say I think, exactly one way or another, because I don't know Paris Hilton. But what it did was it helped me have compassion for her. It's like, so what, all the things that South Park kind of made fun of her about were funny. And, got a laugh out of it because the poor dog. I think it was Cartman. She wanted Cartman to be her dog because her dog died.
I think it's the other guy.
I don't know which one, but she wanted one of them to be her new dog.
Yeah, it's not a Kenny, and
I don't know. It's one of them. It's funny. Yeah. But anywho, And then I watched the show that she put out about herself, and I was like, wow, I just had all this compassion for her, because it's like, whether she was MK Ultra or not, whether she was born into a cabal family or a super religious family that just punished her terribly for not stepping the way they wanted her to. I just had so much compassion for her. So I just want to say, I love South Park because it's great for a
Me too.
laugh, but you know, what are we laughing at? We're laughing at judgment statements, or just they're making fun of people because their behavior is ridiculous, which I can agree with that. I love that. I love satire, but truly, if we are talking about moving towards, the Christ consciousness, we have to realize that everybody, as weird as they can be and how ridiculous some people can be, I mean, there's always a reason. There's always something in their life or their experiences that cause them to be that way. And even the darkest ones. So I think you were touching on this earlier with, the bloodlines and everything. Even the darkest beings in our awareness can turn toward the light. I mean, there's never anyone that's completely lost from source.
Yeah, the dude, I forgot his name. The Dutch banker or something. That he made a statement during International Tribunal of Justice. Like he went 180, and so he decided to have a testimonial of what he has done, what kind of activity he was doing, and that was one of the testimonial. And he comes from those lines of families. And then, as far as Paris Hilton goes, she married to her husband, and that person is bloodline family too. So it is very important to them, right? According to their culture, because those I don't know too much about the draconian too. Draconian or reptilians, they consider bloodline, like which
Yep.
bloodline you come
Yep.
from.
No, I got you. But
Yeah.
if you had watched the documentary that she made about herself, I mean, some of that was so real. And she was sitting amongst all of her, in this bedroom, or I'm sorry, it was her closet that was the size bigger than most people's bedrooms and full of stuff. And she just kind of talked about how, like, none of this means anything, and
Oh,
how
she said
upset
that?
she. Oh, yeah. And about how, she would she would give it all up if she could just have a real connection with somebody. Well, if you're born into a bloodline family, like, you're
You have
not
a lot of money, but that doesn't mean anything for
you're programmed to not feel. You're programmed to not connect. They invert things. They change the sex of their, some of their children that aren't even their own children. It's ridiculous. I don't even want to get into all of it, but I mean, if we can for a second try to imagine what it would be like to grow up in that kind of a situation, I just can't. My mind can't wrap around it. And so, there's a part of me that's like, I couldn't possibly judge her, because I've never gone through a quarter of what she's gone through. I can't imagine. So all that money, she's standing there telling everybody to the camera, all of this means nothing. I just would like to stop being fucked up for 10 minutes and be able to have a real connection with somebody and stop ruining my relationships. Wow, what a statement.
Yeah. This is
And I
what
wouldn't have known that about her if I didn't take the time to watch the show, by the way.
this is why TV show is important, or watch those shows so you can kind of understand, you don't completely understand, but you have some kind of idea, right?
Yeah,
This
and
is what
truly, I
it's
had
for.
no idea whether I was even going to watch the whole thing. I thought my curiosity just kept getting piqued, because I thought, oh, she did a show about herself, huh? Well, that's
What is the
interesting.
title of the show?
Oh, okay.
It's some kind of a documentary, right?
Yeah, she did a documentary on herself. Let me look it up for you real quick. But I knew in the first, usually with any show, I know within the first 5 minutes whether I'm going to keep watching or not, because, I could just tell whether it resonates with me or not. And I didn't really think I was going to resonate with hers, but I started watching, and I swear to God, I watched it all the way through. I couldn't stop watching it. It just fascinated me. Okay, Paris Hilton documentary. Don't mind me.
Yeah.
Okay, Paris Hilton documentary. Hang on, folks. I'm gonna find out what it's called. This is Paris.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It's
That's a good title.
It's an hour and 50 minutes.
Easy to remember.
But I'll tell you, if you ever get around to watching it, you'll have to let me know if you felt the same way I did.
Yeah,
I mean, when she was in her closet saying those things that I said, I was like, I mean, I was in tears.
I hope I can
I was in tears.
I can watch something outside of Netflix because I don't really, want to give my money to Netflix.
No, I think this is actually, it might be on YouTube. I actually watched it on YouTube, I think. Yeah, it's on YouTube.
I see. Maybe I check it out. Well, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, if you got nothing better to do, maybe we can talk about that sometime. But
yeah, so like good TV show does things like that, or even good movies. I do watch movies a lot more than TV show. Like I haven't really skipped watching movies, but nobody gonna deny like Matrix is a documentary, and whether what I forgot that.
Keanu Reeves, The Matrix from Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, it is a documentary.
I think it's kind of it's like a parody. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's a documentary because there really is no true blue pill or red pill, but and we don't live in a computer, but I think it's like a parody on what reality has been for us for so long.
Well, it's very realistic what's going on in movie sense. So they depicted that fact in the movie in an entertaining way. So the whole point is like the good movie or good TV show can do stuff like that to people.
Yeah, wake your ass up. Yep.
Yeah. So that's what we wanted to say. So, I do understand those of you who do have, the feelings toward I don't want to watch TV. But you can watch few TV shows, which is really good. And they do exist out there.
Yep.
Yeah. So don't shy away of everything because like Sue said, from this year to I don't know on some
probably like the next 5 years.
Yeah, from good stuff will come out like TV or movies. It will, because those people, after we have a financial system change, and then people actually can go into the field they really want to go into. So who knows? Some people who are doing all different things because of making money or whatever, they may want to into acting, or may want to go into writing or something like that. So we may have a new talent, right? And the people not going to choose other talent based on the bloodline. Instead, they're going to choose talent by talent. That will change too. That will change too.
Much agreed.
Stop being judgmental toward Hollywood people too. Of course, it's a small, very small world, and nepotism did exist, but it's not, that's not going to continue forever because everything is changing. Even CNN is changing.
Well, I don't with Resident Alien, I didn't recognize any of those actors. Brent, my husband, knew who the fellow was that plays Harry, because I guess he did some animated show. He was like the voice of some things that everybody would recognize, but nobody takes.
He did a bunch of movies.
Yeah,
not like a main character, like a supporting.
I mean, everybody else, I did not recognize any of them, so that was cool.
It is cool, and then they put a lot of diversity. They put in American Indian people, they put Black people, they put Asian people, and then none of them are like talking about how Black they are or how Asian they are.
Thank God. Yeah, and they just show you the native culture without like talking about how the white man's destroyed them and everything. They're just living their lives, you
Yeah,
know.
that's how it should
They're
be.
not victims. They're not victims. They're powerful.
Or they are not talking about wokeness. Like they are
I know.
the best actor is representing the role. It doesn't have to be race. The person who got the role was best at what they can present. So, and they happen to be very diversified characters. Even the lady, I think she's, I can't quite tell her ethnic origin, the Asta. I know she's not 100% white.
Oh, she's Native American. Remember, they go to her family
I'm
to
talking,
have the.
I know her role is Native American, but is she Native American as actress? I
Well,
thought,
she's adopted, remember? So they never
no,
quite
no,
say.
I'm not talking about storyline. I'm talking about actress.
Oh, I have no idea.
She looks mixed. So whole point is like it's very diversified cast, but none of them are talking about that diversifiedness to sell the program.
Yeah, the virtue signaling. You don't have any of that there. So
Yeah,
we
so
highly recommend it.
yeah, we recommend it. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe. So we see you next time. Bye.
Bye.